the #1 question I got asked on the campaign trail was not about the Lopez incident. It was not about diversity in hiring. It was, when are you going to fix the damn CCW program in this county? Wow, thank you very much for having me tonight. I'm going to try and get organized here real quickly. There we go. I think that's it. You know, I owe a huge debt of gratitude to the Republican Party of Sonoma County for my success in the election. We kicked butt. We really kicked butt. It's very unusual to have a three-way race where one candidate emerges with greater than 50% of the vote. Typically, when you see a three-candidate race, if someone is able to pull it off, they typically pull it off with 51%. They just barely squeak it by. And, you know, of course, what that means is that you don't have to go to the general. The election is decided at the primary. What we did was absolutely amazing. We won with 56% of the vote in the three-way race at the primary. Despite the fact that the Press Democrat said, you're not going to do it. The Press Democrat reported about a week before the election that was a dead heat, and a poll that they had run. And when voters were pressed in the poll, what they call the push part of the poll, that voters broke towards Ernesto Olivares as the candidate of choice. And of course, this happens a week before the election, and I was absolutely panicked. I was like, oh my God, what's going on? All this work, and it's slowly starting to evaporate. And I started thinking about strategy for November, how I was going to hopefully, you know, make it through the primary as a second top vote getter and move that into the November general election. And I'll tell you that the night of the election, we were having a party at the Flamingo Hotel, and I didn't want to do it. I was really nervous. My wife's like, you got to do it. You got to have this party. And I said, I don't want to do it because, you know, things go bad. I'm going to be a jerk. No one's going to want to be around me. I'm going to, right? I mean, no one likes to have that kind of stuff happen to them. And they said, no, you got to do it. So we set the party. Party started at 7, and we got an invitation to be on KSRO right as the results were coming out. So we kind of got the campaign committee together, and we kind of scratched our heads and said, do you want to be on live radio when the results come out? No, I don't want to do that. So I graciously said, no thank you, I can't be there at 8 to be on the radio when the results come out, but I can be there at 8:30. Like, oh yeah, okay, no problem, we'll just move the schedule around a little bit, we'll have you come in at 8:30. Yes, so at least when I walk in and sit down on the radio, I'll know what the preliminary results were. So what happens? I show up at the studio, 8:15, I'm getting ready, go on the air, 8:30, results aren't out. So I get there at 8:15 and the results aren't out. About to go on the radio, results still are not out, and so the host, Steve Jackson, is actually on the phone with the elections office, and he's going, hey, what's going on? Why haven't we had to get the results out? Well, apparently, a gentleman walked in to the election office at 7:58 p.m. with his ballot in hand and said, I demand to be able to cast my ballot. And under state election rules, if someone walks into a polling place before the polling place closes, they have the right to do their ballot. So this gentleman has some disabilities and he needed help filling out his ballot. So he was in there from 2 minutes to 8 until like 8:25. He finally cast his ballot, they kick him out the door, they lock the door, and they publish the results. So despite the fact I didn't want to be on live radio when the results came out, I was on live radio as the results came out. And my jaw literally hit the table. He said, because the host is looking at the results, and he says, well, congratulations, looks like you just won. You have 60% of the vote. And I just, wow, it was incredible. And so ultimately, as other ballots came in, it dropped to 56%, but it still was a resounding win. So that's kind of my story about that and that journey. And I was saying before we started the meeting tonight, I met hundreds of people in the campaign, hundreds. And it just really reinforced for me what a great place this is to live and the great people in this county. I met 3 jerks during the campaign. 3 jerks, and you know, you meet hundreds of people, you're bound to meet a couple jerks. And so I still count myself very blessed to have met so many people during the campaign and made some really good friends, and I hope these friendships continue. So what I'm going to talk to you about tonight a little bit is kind of some of the goals I have right when we take office, and some of the challenges that we face right now. We're going to still face them when I take office, and then answer as many questions you guys have. Stay as late as you want. I brought business cards. They're on the counter there. Got my desk number, my email on them. They still say captain. I'm still a captain until January. So I take office January 7th. The sheriff, according to the California Constitution, is sworn in at high noon. So I get sworn in at high noon on January 7th. And I was asking Debbie if you guys did anything like door prizes, and she said not normally. But I brought two cool things that I wanted to share with you tonight, and I'm trying to figure out a way in my head to award them out. But the first one I'm going to do is, Eddie was reading my biography there. She said that I had supervised up to 250 people. But we have a number of employees that work at the office. And so my first prize I'm going to give out is if someone can tell me the exact number of employees we have at the sheriff's office. Or closest, how about whoever gets closest to it? Take a guess. Wait a minute, you work for
You recognize you. I'm proud of it. Okay.
So we're just to set the stage, we're a big organization. We have a patrol division and a detention division and then our administration division. So let's think about this.
275.
450.
650.
I'm sorry, what was it? Okay. Well, any other guesses?
800.
Okay. I'll take two more guesses.
550.
Okay. Joe, you want to hedge your guess?
I'd say around 700.
All right, Dave wins. He guessed 650. We have 653 employees.
Wow.
Which date? We have
Someone
a
else
date.
gave-
Oh,
yes,
this
someone
day here.
else gave-
450.
And Dave, what this is this is a commemorative challenge coin that the county made after the fires. And what it is it has, on one side, it has a fire badge, an EMS badge, a deputy sheriff badge, and that's another badge on it that I can't see without my glasses. And on the other side, it says Sonoma County Tubbs Fire. It's got all the different fires that were on it. And this was given out to employees who worked the fire. So this is kind of a unique thing. Only employees who actually worked the fire got these. And this is mine. So here you go. Good job. And then the last one I'm going to save for the end. The last one I'll tell you right now is the star that I'm wearing. It's a small sheriff's belt pin. We'll figure out how to do this later. So, boy, our challenges, where we're going with the office. So January 7th, I take office. What I've tried to do is think about the first 3 months that I get on the job, the things I really want to start trying to accomplish and work towards. And it's not rocket science, it's stuff that you guys could probably regurgitate to me pretty easily. It has to do with community policing and being responsible to the community. It has to do with accountability, so that we hold our own staff accountable for their actions, and they're accountable to you. Community engagement, which is just the very thing I'm doing right now. Being here, answering questions, talking to you. Not just the Republicans, not just the Democrats, but everybody, right? And listening to the concerns, trying to answer those questions as best as we can. The buzzword right now still is transparency. Be as transparent as we can in our government so you can know what kind of decisions we're making at the sheriff's office and be involved in that to the extent you want to be. And workforce diversity. Our sheriff's office is not different than any other law enforcement agency in this state or this nation. We are not diverse, and we are terribly not diverse. We have 9% women working for us in a county with 51% women. We have about 16 to 17% Latinos working for us in a county that's, by most estimates, about 29% Latino. And, I'm not a person who just wants to check a box. I'm not just going to put a person in a seat because they meet a quota or check a box. But there are plenty of people in our county who are very talented, very qualified, who for some reason we're not reaching and we're not getting them to work at the sheriff's office. And it's one of my goals is to try to get us to be more diverse and reach those perspectives. And again, not because of a person's color of their skin or just their gender, because I think that's superficial. I want the experience. I want the experience that you've had in a different thing than I've had. You know, I grew up in Novato, California, in the 70s and 80s. Right, that was my world. And there's a lot more world out there than Novato, California. Okay? And I'm sure many of you can relate to that. So how are we going to do some of those things? Now I do have to turn my glasses on for a second. So my ideas are, in the first, say, 3 months of being in office, I want to host a community meeting and an open house at the sheriff's office. Open up the doors, we're going to have to do a little cleaning, knock some cobwebs out, but the sheriff's office is your house. You should be welcome there, you should know what's inside that building, you should know what we do inside that building. So have an open house, have a community gathering, and then start scheduling, I don't know if you want to use the term town hall or listening sessions, but at least once per quarter, have the sheriff and his administrative staff, the top staff, captains, assistant sheriffs, be at some district in this county, supervisory district. So maybe we start out in James Gore's district up north, and we hold a community meeting. And no set agenda, it's just to listen. What's going on? What are your concerns? What's troubling you in the North District if you live there? Next quarter, we'll pick Petaluma and have these quarterly meetings so that people can attend who live in that district. And again, just listening to their concerns. Revive our CCW program. I am not kidding you guys. The number one question I got asked on the campaign trail was not about the Lopez incident. It was not about diversity in hiring. It was, when are you going to fix the damn CCW program in this county? Oh, sorry, concealed weapons permit in this county.
Yeah.
So under state law, the sheriff or police chief can administer a program, and every sheriff's office and police agency in this state does. They have some sort of program to administer requests for a permit to carry a concealed weapon. And right now, we only have 135 CCW permits issued in this entire county, 500,000 people. To put that into contrast for you, Solano County, to our east, sheriff over there, Tom Carrera, has issued about just under 6,000 CCW permits for his population, which is about 450,000 people. So we're relatively similar size county-wise. They've got Fairfield and Backville as their larger cities. And then to our north, Tom Allman, he's got a county that's about 90,000 people, Mendocino County, and he has about 3,000 CCWs issued. So there is a line between being responsible, because really my name's going to be on the bottom of every permit that gets issued. So there is accountability and responsibility to make sure that people who are applying for permits can at least justify some sort of reasonably articulable reason to have one, and balancing that with just handing them out to everybody, because I think that's also irresponsible. Not everybody needs one or should have one. So that is on the agenda. We're going to look at our critical policies to make sure they meet community standards. So critical policies are pursuit policy, our use of force policy, some certain jail policies that you've seen in the news lately that we've got some problems in our jail with our policies about how inmates are treated. And I have some real concerns about that. And I talked about that back when I came here in January. We have a jail population of about 1,100 people. And whether you have sympathy for someone who's sitting in jail or not is not really the issue. For me, the issue is once they're in my jail, I have absolute responsibility to provide for their health and their welfare. And if I take a person who's been arrested into my jail and they sit there for 60 days, 90 days, a year, and I release them and they are worse off than they were when they walked in the door, then I failed. And so if they've got chronic medical conditions that we haven't fixed or helped them with, that's our fault. If they've got chronic mental health conditions that are not being treated well in custody, and they walk out the door with no plan, no future, and they instantly get rearrested again and are back in our jail on a new charge, then I failed. So our goal is to, as best we can, equip the people who are walking out our doors so they don't have a return visit. And don't get me wrong, that's a huge challenge. If I could solve that, I could probably be the governor, I don't know. That's a huge challenge. It's a huge challenge everywhere in the country, particularly in California, with some of the constraints that are on us with the different propositions that have passed and different legislation that's passed to remove people from prison and push them back into local county jails. It's called realignment. You may have heard the term realignment. Essentially, we took a overcrowded state prison system. Those people are still offending for the most part, but instead of housing them in state prisons, they pushed them back into county jurisdictions. So prior to realignment, our average daily population was around 850 inmates, and post realignment, we're about 1,100 to 1,140 inmates a day. So it caused our population to go up. We're housing people who, and generally speaking, really generalizing, but people who are state prison inmates typically are a little bit older. They've had more time to abuse their bodies, so typically they have more chronic health conditions. We have 3 inmates right now who are on dialysis that we have to take out 3 times a week for 8 hours a day. They tend to have more chronic conditions when it comes to mental health, and they're just harder to manage. They're just much more expensive and harder to manage. Oh, I know what I'm going to do this one. So I just had our financial analyst run the number on how much it costs a day to house an inmate in a jail. So that's going to be the start here. So take, how about 5 guesses? That way, too many guesses, I'll forget what the numbers are. Anybody want to have a guess?
35,000.
A day.
A day.
Oh, a day? No, not a year.
A day.
$100.
300.
About 800. 1,100.
Whoa, you guys are going really high.
Oh, I was going to say 1,800.
Okay, so we have a couple ties in there. So the people who said 100, raise your hand at me. Okay, so they were the closest, so I'm going to ask them to go again.
105.
It's like Price is Right, huh?
All right, I'll go lower.
Okay, so she's going to get 105. It's $175 a day.
Oh, wow.
She came closest to the actual price without going over, right? Just like on Price is Right. $175 a day. Think about that. That's a lot of money. Times 1,100 inmates. So 1,100 times $175 a day. That's our daily cost of housing. So if we can divert people out of custody, or if we can, when they walk out the door, if we can ensure that they don't come back into custody, tremendous savings there. And I've already talked to some of the folks at Sonoma County Mental Health, actually Sonoma County Behavioral Health as they're called, and I've said, look, as a sheriff, I would gladly hand you over the part of my budget to house someone at $175 a day so that you can prevent them from coming in, and that's treatment, mental health treatment, emergency psychiatric treatment. If we can divert those people from coming into jail, I'd gladly give up that $175 a day versus back to Sonoma County Mental Health. So that's something that we're working on and excited about as well. I guess the last one I want to touch on is customer service. Cop pulls you over, writing you a ticket, what's the first thing out of your mouth? I pay your salary, right? I pay your salary. I can't believe you're writing me a ticket. And cops, generally speaking, get really, it's like a trigger word for them. They get a little irked at that. When someone says, I pay your salary, usually the cop, they start to get a little angry. Ex-cop back here is nodding his head.
Here, we're even.
Yeah.
That's what you say.
Yep. So, it is something that's kind of funny to laugh at. But the fact of the matter is that you do pay our salary. You are our customers. We are a public service agency, and we're here to serve you. We're here to help you. And I think it's really important to emphasize that from top to bottom in an organization, that we're here to serve. It is a service mentality, it's service leadership, and we shouldn't be putting up artificial barriers for you just to get service from the sheriff's office. And if that's something as simple as you come into the sheriff's office and you've got some civil questions about how to evict a tenant, or you've got a landlord, or you've got a neighborhood dispute with a neighbor over something, we shouldn't brush you off and say, that's not our department, go talk to somebody else. Our job should be to try to help you solve that problem. Now, we may not be the expert in that area, and that's fine if we're not the expert, but you should be able to walk out the door with a plan in your hand of, okay, this is not a sheriff office issue, this is a permit issue. And here's the phone number for Sonoma County Permit and Resource Management, and here's where I need to go to talk to someone. So just making sure that you get served with your basic needs. Sheriff Freitas used to tell a story, and I absolutely, it really hits home for me. Sheriff Freitas was walking out the front door of the sheriff's office one day, and there's a man standing outside the door, and he's kind of got a befuddled look on his face, and kind of looks like he's upset. And so Steve says to him, "Sir, can I help you?" And the guy says, "Oh, well, I have this ticket I got, and I got a fix-it ticket for my car. I had a headlight out or something. And Cloverdale Police Department wrote me the ticket. And, I don't live in Cloverdale, and it's a far drive to get up there, and I need someone to sign off the ticket. And so I brought it into your front desk and asked for an officer to come sign off on this ticket. And they told me that we can't do that because it's Cloverdale PD's ticket," which is not true. Any peace officer can sign off a fix-it ticket. And so the sheriff kind of embarrassed. And he says, "Well, I'll tell you what, sir. Where's your car at?" He goes, "Well, it's right here." He says, "Well, let's go over." So the sheriff walks over, and the guy turns on his headlights. Yep, it works. So the sheriff signs off on it, and he hands the sign off to this gentleman. He goes, "That's your name on the door. You're the sheriff?" He goes, "Yeah, I am." He goes, "Well, why are you helping me?" "It's my job. It's my job." And no one here is above anybody else. We all are working to provide customer service at every level. And the guy, probably made the guy's day and probably fixed the frustration he was feeling. So that's kind of what I want to do. I want to have this servant-based leadership. We have some serious stuff faced in our county. We really do. We have homelessness is the #1 topic for people. And homelessness is a huge, multi-pronged beast. It really is. We've got those who are voluntary homeless, who choose that lifestyle. We have those that are chronically homeless, who have severe, persistent mental illness. We like to say, well, why can't that guy just get a job? Well, he can't get a job because he's schizophrenic and he's not on medication, and he can't hold a job for more than a day without getting fired. So we got this huge issue. I brought this just came out. Once a year, Sonoma County does what's called a point-in-time survey. It's required by, in order for the county to get some federal and state grant funding for different projects going on, they have to do a census every year of the homeless population. They do it every year. This one just came out. This is like the executive summary. The actual report is about 60 pages long, and it talks about what homelessness looks like in our county. And I just want to share with you a couple pieces of information. This is on the Sonoma County website, so if you go to sonomacounty.org and type in point-in-time survey or homeless survey, this will pop right up. So overall, homelessness is down. We reached a peak in 2011 with 4,500 homeless folks in this county. Currently today, we're at 2,900. We're 2,990. This breaks down age, breaks down gender. 58% of the homeless are male, 39% are female. But really, what I really like about this, it breaks out what they call a subpopulation. So the chronically homeless, veterans, families, and then older adults as well. And there are, of the chronically homeless, and the chronically homeless are the ones that typically come on the radar of law enforcement, and they're typically the ones that cause the most friction with the public. Those are the people who drink and pass out drunk in front of your business so that when you come to work in the morning and you're stepping over a drunk person in your doorway. They're the people who are camping out underneath the 6th Street overpass. There was about 80 people camping out there. For many of them who suffer from either addiction or mental health issue, their primary goal every day is to wake up, get as much money as possible to get booze for drugs, self-medicate, and then repeat the same thing over and over again. So it's a huge problem, and I don't stand up here with a solution for you. All I can say is that it's a partnership. It's going to be a partnership between law enforcement, community service groups, non-government entities. It's a bear. It is an absolute bear.
Is that number growing? What was it 10 years ago? Do you have that?
The slide I have here goes back to 2009. So we saw it. So 2009, about 10 years ago, 3,200. In 2011, it really popped up. So it went from 32 to 4,500 in just 1 year, and then it's gradually gone. I'll pass this around if you guys want to take a glance at it as we're talking tonight. Major health concerns. 35% of homeless have a psychiatric problem. 33% have an addiction problem. Now here's some shocking stuff. 28% have some sort of diagnosed PTSD, and that's typically our veterans. 27% are either have chronic health problems or they're disabled. 14% suffer from some sort of traumatic brain injury. And then they give reasons for not wanting service. You know, why are people who are eligible not getting services? There's some information in there.
Did you say this is available to the public?
Yes, it's available to the public
And where would you get it?
on sonomacounty.org website.
Okay.
And if you just Google Sonoma County Homeless Survey, it'll pop right up probably as your first hit.
And who gathered all this information?
This is put together by a group called Applied Research. They are a contractor for the county. So the county actually contracts with a private survey company. They go out, they pick a date. It's typically a weekend. They'll do it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and they will go to homeless camps and actually count people, do a census, and then pull out certain sample sizes to interview them further. If they can try and interview someone and find out more. And they ask all these questions, you know. They don't ask the questions of every single person, it's just a sample, so they're trying to make some inferences. But they use volunteers, they use cops, they use social workers, they use people who work out in the field, so they can say, oh, I know there's a homeless camp over there, let's go check that homeless camp so we can count people. Yes?
Do you get the sense that there are people coming in from other counties here, like this is going to grow? Because we hear this, that, you know, they're coming from on the bus from, you know,
San
Las
Francisco.
Vegas or wherever.
Repeat the question for those that
Yeah,
don't know that.
so the question was, is there a sense on what the population of homeless people, where they're from? Are they from Sonoma County or are they from outside Sonoma County? And really, I think the number is in there. I want to say it's a pretty high number of people are from Sonoma County. The number is in there. I don't want to mislead you with a bad number, but for some reason I thought that it was in the 70% range.
They think they get better services here, so they investing in from San Francisco.
Well, I think that is what a lot of folks think is that, you know, hey, the enticement, we have a lot of services, so people come there. And certainly the folks in Guerneville feel that way, that Guerneville in the past has been very welcoming to, you know, all sorts of people who are living alternate lifestyles, and that they would welcome with open arms. And for the most part, the people I spoke to in Guerneville do feel that way. They're like, hey, you know, we are an open community. We tolerate a lot in Guerneville. But we tolerate a lot. That's one of the questions they ask. Are you from Sonoma County? When you became homeless, what was your address? Where did you live?
I go to the Park Streets. What's our population close to Marin County? Is Marin County low?
I don't know how we compare to Marin. I mean, Marin does have, downtown San Rafael, I think, has got a significant population. My dad lived in San Rafael, and so I've gone there quite often. But that's just kind of seat of the pants of me driving through downtown. But I'd say downtown San Rafael is pretty much like downtown Santa Rosa, is at least my unofficial sense of it. But so, you know, I guess regardless of the cause of homelessness, and regardless of, you know, a person's feelings, like, you know, that guy's a bum, he should be working harder, I worked hard. Yeah, I mean, everybody can have that opinion and express that opinion, but the fact of the matter is we still have this population here, and it's still right here in our face. They need help, and we've got to be creative in ways to try to address it, because it just seems to continue to plague our society.